Picture this. You've been chasing for months. Every message carefully typed. Every call filled with warmth. Every conversation held with patience. But their replies kept shrinking day by day. Okay, I'm busy. And then one day you got tired. You decided enough. No more messages. No more calls. No more chasing. You started treating them like they were nothing. And this is where the twist begins. The very person who felt suffocated by your presence suddenly feels disturbed by your absence. Out of nowhere their name pops up on your story views. Random late-night likes, meaningless hey texts, as if they only remember you when you start forgetting them. This moment isn't just confusing, it's painful, because your mind immediately asks, did I ever matter to them? Was I only a distraction? And now that I treat them like they're nothing, why do they start reacting? In today's video, we're diving deep into this exact paradox. I'm going to explain how an avoidant's nervous system reacts to your silence, why your pullback suddenly pulls them in, and the biggest question of all, does this mean they truly miss you, or are they simply responding unconsciously to their own fears? Stay with me till the end, because today you'll get the clarity you've been craving, clarity no one has ever explained to you in such a raw and real way. This is the part that leaves you questioning everything. You showed love. You showed patience. You gave them space when they asked for it, and somehow all of that only pushed them further away. Then the day you finally stopped, when you treated them like they were nothing, like they didn't exist, their behavior flipped. Suddenly the one who couldn't stand your closeness is unsettled by your distance, and that's confusing on a level that cuts deep, because your mind starts spinning in circles. Was I the problem all along? Was I smothering them without realizing it? Or is this some hidden game I'll never understand? That pain you feel in your chest right now, it's real. It's not because you're too much. It's not because you don't know how to love. It's because you've been caught in the paradox of avoidant attachment. The rules feel backwards. When you give, they pull away. When you stop giving, they pull closer. It feels unfair. And if no one has ever explained this dynamic to you, it feels personal, like rejection. But let me validate you here. It's not personal. This isn't about your worth. It's about their wiring. Avoidants don't react to love the way secure people do. They were conditioned, often from childhood, to associate closeness with pressure, obligation, even danger. So when you shower them with love, their defenses rise, and when you retreat, their system suddenly feels a void they didn't expect. That's why their reactions confuse you. You're following the natural rules of connection. You give, they should receive. But with avoidance, the rules are flipped, and unless someone tells you this truth, you keep blaming yourself. So if you're sitting there wondering, am I the crazy one? Did I do something wrong? The answer is no. What you're experiencing is the exact psychological paradox of avoidant attachment. And the moment you understand, this isn't a reflection of your value, but of their survival strategy, that's the moment you stop feeling broken. Stay with me, because in the next part we'll go even deeper into the hidden psychology that explains why your absence has more impact on them than your presence. And once you see it, their behavior will finally make sense. Here's the truth most people never see. When you stop chasing an avoidant, you're not just stepping back. You're holding up a mirror to their psychology. See, when you pursue them with love, attention and consistency, their nervous system doesn't read it as safety. It reads it as pressure. To them, closeness equals threat. Their body literally sends them signals. Get out. Protect yourself. Escape before you lose control. That's why they pull away, even when your intentions are pure. But the moment you go silent, something entirely different gets activated. Their defensive system goes quiet, and another part of their psychology wakes up. The exploratory system. That's the system built on curiosity, discovery and desire. When there's no pressure on them, their mind shifts from protect and flee to wonder and explore. And suddenly, they're noticing you again. Think about it. When you were chasing, they weren't really seeing you. They were only seeing the weight of expectation, but when you step back, that weight disappears. For the first time they're free to wonder, what's happening with you? Why aren't you around? What are you doing without them? That curiosity becomes magnetic. This is why you start noticing the small but telling signs, story views, random likes, those casual hey texts that seem meaningless, but actually reveal something deeper. It's not that they suddenly love you more. It's that the absence of pressure unlocks a part of their brain that was shut down before. And here's the paradox. To you it looks like they're playing games. To them it feels natural, automatic. They're not consciously deciding, I'll ignore you when you're close and chase you when you're gone. Their nervous system is running the show, pulling them back and forth between fear and curiosity. That's why this dynamic is so hard to understand if you don't know the psychology behind it. It feels like mixed signals, but in reality, it's two different systems inside them fighting for control. One says, run from closeness. The other whispers, don't let them disappear. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to break down the metaphor that will make this entire paradox crystal clear. Once you see it through this lens, everything about how avoidants react will finally click into place. Think of this dynamic like chasing a shadow. The harder you run toward it, the further it slips away. You reach out, but your hands touch nothing. Yet the moment you stop moving, the shadow naturally falls back at your feet. That's exactly how the avoidant mind works. Paradoxical, counterintuitive, but painfully real. When you chase, their nervous system translates your closeness as pressure. To them it feels like you're reaching out to grab something they're not ready to give. They sense the pull, and their instinct is to retreat, to slip just out of reach. You can see them, you can almost feel them, but every step closer makes them vanish into distance. But when you stop, when you treat them like nothing, when you stop reaching and simply stand still, their experience shifts. Suddenly they're not being pursued, they're not being cornered. The pressure lifts, and like a shadow under the setting sun, they drift closer without you doing anything. Not because they've suddenly decided to love differently, but because your stillness changes the game. Here's why this metaphor matters. Shadows don't come closer because you beg them. They come closer because of your position, your stance, your choice to stop moving. In the same way, avoidants don't react positively when you push. They react when you release. Your absence, your silence, your focus on yourself. It flips the script in their mind. This is the paradox most people never understand. With avoidance, movement often creates distance, while stillness creates gravity. They're drawn to curiosity, not control. They're pulled by space, not by pressure. And until you see it through this imagery, their behavior feels like nonsense, like mixed signals that keep you second-guessing yourself. But once you imagine that shadow, it suddenly makes sense. They're not rejecting your worth. They're reacting to movement. And that's why when you stop chasing, they start noticing. In the next part, I'll share a story that brings this metaphor to life. A real example of what happens when someone finally stopped running after their avoidant partner, and what unfolded next will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about their reactions. Let me share a story that perfectly illustrates this paradox. One of my clients came to me completely exhausted. For months her partner had been emotionally unavailable. Short replies, no real effort, and a constant sense of distance. She had tried everything, being patient, being understanding, even giving space. Nothing worked. In fact, the more she tried, the colder he seemed to become. One day she decided something had to change, not with him, but with herself. She shifted her focus inward. She committed to her fitness, started pushing harder in her career, and picked up hobbies she had abandoned. Her life began orbiting around her again, not around his absence. 2 weeks later, out of nowhere, her phone buzzed with a message from him. It read, "Heard this song today, and it reminded me of you." Just a single line. Simple, random, but it wasn't random at all. That small message was the first crack in his avoidant wall, because here's the truth. Her absence had activated something in his system. With no pressure chasing him, curiosity crept in. He began to wonder what she was doing, how she was feeling, why she wasn't reaching out like before. That one sentence carried a deeper meaning. I noticed the silence, and it's making me think of you. The beauty of this story isn't about the text itself, it's about what triggered it. She didn't play a game. She didn't send subliminal hints or try reverse psychology. She simply stopped pouring energy into someone who wasn't receiving it, and redirected that energy back into her own life. And that shift flipped something inside him. This is the lived proof of what I've been telling you. Avoidants don't respond to chasing. They respond when you stop. Not because they suddenly transform overnight, but because the silence creates space for their curiosity and longing to wake up. And here's the powerful takeaway. Her worth was never in his message. It was in her choice to reclaim her life. The message was just a reflection of what happens when you treat an avoidant like nothing. Their system finally has room to feel your absence. In the next part, we'll break down the psychological triggers that make this shift happen consistently, so you'll understand why this story isn't a one-off, but a predictable pattern in avoidant dynamics. So what exactly happens inside an avoidant's mind when you stop chasing and treat them like nothing? Let's break it down into 3 powerful shifts, triggers that flip their psychology in ways they can't even explain to themselves. 1. Absence creates awareness. At first your silence feels like nothing, but slowly, it creates an echo. They start realizing that your presence had quietly become a part of their daily rhythm. The good morning texts, the check-ins, the way you'd share something funny from your day, all of that vanishes. And it's in that emptiness, they suddenly become aware of just how much space you occupied in their world. Ironically, they only notice the weight of your presence when it's no longer there. 2. Safe distance lowers defenses. When you were chasing, their nervous system was on high alert. Every message felt like pressure, every call like a demand. Their defenses went up automatically, even if you were only offering love. But when the chase ends, that tension dissolves. Without the constant pull, their guard starts to relax. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, they don't feel the need to run. That safety born from your silence creates the opening where connection can actually feel possible again. 3. Curiosity replaces fear. And here's the most fascinating part. Once the fear of being cornered fades, curiosity takes its place. They start to wonder, what are you doing now? Who are you spending time with? How come you're not reaching out? Have you moved on? That curiosity, mixed with the awareness of your absence, becomes magnetic. It pulls them toward you, not because you forced it, but because their own mind made the space to think about you without panic. This sequence, awareness, safety, curiosity, is the invisible cycle that makes avoidants react when you treat them like nothing. They're not consciously planning it, but their system is wired to move this way. And once you understand these triggers, their behavior stops feeling like a mystery and starts feeling like a pattern. In the next part, we'll explore the paradox, why avoidants can only come closer when they don't feel pulled, and how that paradox can change the way you see every interaction with them. Here's the most painful paradox of loving an avoidant. They miss you only when you stop missing them. They choose you only when you stop choosing them. And as cruel as that sounds, it's not cruelty at all. It's the survival wiring that shaped their attachment style. Think about it. When you're pouring energy into them, when you're chasing, choosing, trying, your presence feels heavy. To their nervous system, it signals danger. If I let this person too close, I'll lose myself. So they retreat, not because they don't feel anything, but because their system is screaming at them to protect their autonomy. But the moment you pull back, the moment you stop choosing them, something strange happens. Their defenses lose their purpose. There's no pressure to run from anymore. And in that space, a void appears. The absence of your energy. That absence stirs something deep. Awareness, longing, even a sense of loss. Suddenly, they're the ones noticing the quiet. They're the ones missing the presence they once pushed away. It feels unfair, because you're wired differently. To you, love grows in closeness. To them, love awakens in space. This mismatch creates the cycle you've been stuck in. The harder you try, the further they go. The more you let go, the closer they come. It's maddening until you understand it. Here's the twist. This isn't manipulation. It's not a game they're playing. It's their biology. Their attachment system equates intensity with danger, which means the very act of you caring too much triggers their flight response. And the very act of you stepping back gives them room to finally feel safe enough to care. So no, it's not that they don't value you. It's that their system can only let them feel that value when they aren't overwhelmed by your presence. That's the paradox. Avoidants can only move toward you when they don't feel pulled by you. And once you see this truth clearly, the mixed signals stop being a mystery. They're not random, they're predictable. And in the next part, we'll talk about the transformation, how you can shift your energy so that whether they come closer or not, you stay whole, confident and unshaken. So here's the real question. So it's not just how do avoidants react when you treat them like nothing. The deeper question is, why does their reaction matter so much to you? Because here's the truth. Yes, they may get curious when you pull back. Yes, they may start noticing you again when you stop noticing them. But the real power has never been in their hands. The real power has always been in yours. When your life is full, when your focus is on your growth, your passions, your joy, something magical happens. Their reaction, whether they come closer or pull away, stops being the center of your emotional world. It becomes background noise, like a faint song playing in another room. You can hear it, but it doesn't control your mood. That's the shift most people never make. They stay trapped in the cycle of, if they text, I'm happy. If they don't, I'm broken. But your worth was never meant to live in someone else's hands, especially not in the hands of someone whose own nervous system is constantly at war with intimacy. So the real transformation isn't about cracking the avoidant code. It's about cracking your own. It's about realizing that your value doesn't rise and fall with their attention. That you can be chosen, loved and pursued, not because you pulled away at the right time, but because you became someone whose life is so rich, so magnetic, that only the right people can keep up. And here's the irony, when you truly reach that point, that's often when the avoidant feels your absence most intensely. Because now, you're not just someone who stepped back, you're someone who stepped up into your own power, your own wholeness. So let me leave you with this. Stop asking, will they react if I treat them like nothing? Start asking, what kind of life am I building so that their reaction doesn't define me? If this video gave you clarity, drop a comment right now. Tell me, what moment with an avoidant confused you the most? Hit the like button, so this message reaches more people who need it. And don't forget to subscribe, because we're going even deeper into the hidden truths of attachment psychology, and I promise, what's coming next will change the way you see love forever.